You are tuned to Anywhere the Needle Drops. Hey world, I am your host, Justin Flagel, and welcome to the show. And, oh man, before we get to what's in store for you today, let us talk about this past weekend with Be the Band and their album release. What a night. Maybe saw some of you listeners out there at the show, but it was an action-packed Friday evening out in Goshen, really hitting the pillars, or most of the pillars of the Goshen music scene, and just, you know, the goodness that is in Goshen in general. So, of course, Be the Band, they had their new album come out that day, and Paul Clemson, you know Paul, Theory One Productions, he does the sound in this show. We collab on a lot of things. We had to go out there and check it out. You know, we showed up at Goshen Brewing Company to try the new Be the Beer released in honor of the new album. Ran into a lot of friends out there, enjoyed a good meal, enjoyed a couple of beers, and then it was time to saunter over to the show at Ignition Garage. And oh man, what a show. We had Rebel Noir putting on a fantastic evening as the opener, and then Be the Band doing their magic. And all those guests, there was like a guest almost every song. It was so good. And just fun people in the room. I mean, before the show, we ran into Abby Thomas. We got to take Paul down into the catacombs of Nimblewit Studios with Nate Butler of Shiny Shiny Black, and you know, got to see where he does his production magic. Yeah, it was just a fun evening. Lots of friends, lots of good times. And it wasn't even over once B left the stage. It was, you know, walk down the street to Elephant Bar for that after party with Abby Thomas and the Crazy Hearts. And just so much fun. Lots of love. Just beautiful people, beautiful music, and a reminder of why we do what we do. And a reminder of what, you know, what we're fighting for. It's sorry, a little hitch in the throat there, but you know, as we've discussed, as we all know, tough times in the world, and you know, we fight so we can dance, and we dance so we can fight, and that was one of those nights of dancing that filled the cup, refilled the cup, so we can continue to get out there and do the things. So just a beautiful night. Everyone that was out there that helped put that evening together, thank you. And man, that wasn't even all that weekend. I could tell you so much more about that weekend with the Dance Society's return of the Good Morning with DJ Chuck Fry and the Potawatomi Conservatory. Just a weekend of wonder and awe and beauty and art and magic and love, and that's what it's all about. Yeah, so we're here. It's an off week. We've got another special episode for you here, another AtND live, and for this one we're welcoming to the show Kian Byrne, an Irish musician who, well, you'll hear in the episode during the interview portion, just hands in multiple projects, The Elders, and, you know, name a genre, it seemed like Kian had a band to go with it. So multi-talented, as you'll hear in the tunes. As the usual way goes with these AT&D lives, you're going to hear a couple songs from the studio session. You're going to hear a short-form interview. And thanks to Kian for joining me on the show. It was a really fun chat hanging out with Kian at the Theory One Studios in downtown Niles. And hey folks, stay tuned, because what you're hearing today, these episodes, and all we're doing over here at Red Chuck Productions and in collaboration with Theory One Productions, we only have so much more in store for you. It's a lot of fun coming down the road. So I will quit blabbing at you. It's time to check out Kian Byrne. Enjoy. Here's to life.
Take it as it comes.
Kian, welcome to Anywhere the Needle Drops. How's it going?
It's very good. It's going well.
Awesome. Well, listen, so we just heard that song, and so were all of those instruments you?
Yeah. Yep,
Okay.
It was.
All right. So, I mean, I've heard the term multi-instrumentalist. I've read it, but you're really, bringing it to a certain level. What is that like when you're writing music? When you're laying down every single instrument, how do you come up with that?
Yeah, if I'm playing guitar or playing bass and trying to find a melody or something, I also hear the drums, or hear another guitar idea. I have the privilege of, I learned stringed instruments and taught myself how to play. And my dad was a drummer, so there were drums in the house.
Yeah.
And I got lucky.
So when you're recording, is it always that way, or do you sometimes hand off the duties to other musicians?
Well, I personally, when I record at the house, I have a studio in the basement and loads of demos. I have good amount of friends that have been joining. They've joined me on reggae stuff, some psychedelic rock stuff,
yeah,
folk rock, everything. So from trombones to keys, a fiddle player out of Florida who's also an incredible whistle player. And now we're lucky we can send files and, share music, and I don't have to hang out with them. I don't have to capture it if we're together in one place.
Sure.
We can be all over. So
yeah, the magic of the internet right there.
There we go.
So, you mentioned it a little bit right there. So let's dive into that. I've spent the last couple of days digging into your catalog a little bit, and you have so much variety. I mean, there's rock and roll, there's, folk, Americana, roots, whatever you want to call it. There's Celtic music, there's reggae, there's ska. I mean,
yeah.
you kind of, I don't know that you cross genre boundaries as much as you're just smashing them to pieces. So what is it that attracts you to all these different sounds?
I was born in Ireland, so the Celtic music, fiddle, mandolin, Celtic melodies and the stories and writing lyrics, that's inspired from, one place in my life growing up. But reggae music, Jamaican music, rock and roll, it's all connected in some way. Even if sometimes I don't realize, but I joke that I only play music from the islands. So it's Ireland and Jamaica. I'll play American music as well.
Sure, yeah.
But yeah, I love it. So I'll write some lyrics in a folky manner, real straight ahead, kind of, Dylan or something. And then it'll turn into a reggae song because the rhythm or the melody worked better with a boom chuck, one drop, Jamaican stuff, So all my songs change. I also re-record songs in a different way.
Okay.
See if it happens, and so you can play with it.
So you might have a rock and roll Kian Byrne song, and then you might, drop it to the reggae band and see what they can do with it,
right.
What you guys can do with it.
Yeah. I wrote a song called Sing That Song. It was on my first solo album. And I wanted to record an album that was just, as a drummer and everything, and multi-instrumentalist, I wanted to be better at guitar and sing better and be more percussive with less. So I did that first album of I had a ukulele bass, but I did like a shaker, an acoustic guitar, and vocals. Sing That Song's very folky, straight ahead, kind of a folk pop song. But my sister is in the film industry and makes music videos. So I re-recorded it, and I'm going to send that to her, and it's going to be kind of a 80s dance pop version.
Nice.
So,
okay.
I mean, that shows you where it can go.
Sure, yeah. So, I mean, obviously in the recording room, you can handle all those different responsibilities, but when you take these songs out to the stage, when you're playing them live, how do you decide what you're going to play versus what you're going to, put together a band to play, if it's your solo work? I mean, obviously there are roles for the actual bands.
Yep. But, yeah. Elders, I have a band, New Riddum, a reggae band. I played drums in a country band called Grizzly Hand. So obviously they have all their set lists. I have songs in each group that were songs that I wrote that sometimes I'll step away from behind the kit and grab an acoustic guitar or grab a mandolin. And so I'm excited to do those. But when I'm playing solo, I have a personal struggle of I have all these songs that I would love to play. and which ones can I portray with an acoustic guitar.
Sure.
I have a stomp box that's kind of like a kick drum, and so, and then I have all these pedals, and then I practice at home with, turn the amp up and throw some pedals, and then I end up going to the gig with my acoustic guitar and singing and just getting through, 20 original tunes, and it ends up being just as magical.
Sure.
When I don't overthink, it's great to write all the time. I have a lot of songs that I write, and so it's exciting to get to play them,
Yeah.
So yeah, it's...
So let's talk about the Elders for a moment, because that's a band that's been around for quite a while, and
Yep.
There's a family tie there? Is that correct?
Yeah, I play drums in the Elders.
Okay.
My dad is the lead singer.
Nice.
Yeah, so and Norm, the bass player, started the band originally, and he's like my second dad. So we've got the whole thing. It's definitely a family band. My wife's the band manager and keeps us all in line. My mom, who is in the TV industry in Kansas City, she is also the merch girl for the band.
Nice.
So I mean, it's down to a family team.
Yeah. So you mentioned something about television there, which makes me think of something I read about you, which was either, I don't know if it was you individually or maybe it was as a part of the Elders, but you are the recipient of a Telly Award.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I've got one for a music video.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's interesting. You're in good company. So we have a part of the family here, On Base Productions. They are also a multiple Telly Award winner. So when I saw
Awesome.
that name there, I thought, oh, that's so great. What are the chances?
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. Creators everywhere.
Privilege.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's awesome.
So you mentioned a sister also, and it sounds like you mentioned your dad. Siblings. So music seems like it's in your family. Is there anyone in your family that doesn't play music?
No. Two sisters. They're both in the film industry. One's a film buyer. One is a producer, and she stars in the films that she writes, and she's wild.
Yeah.
But they play violin and piano. They Irish dance, years ago.
Yeah.
My mom is a piano player and accordion, and she's Irish dance years ago, and so yeah, and guitar player. The music's in the family.
Yeah,
it's definitely there. Yeah, my dad in Ireland originally, right before I was born, he was in a band called Regent Street. They were on Vixen Records and touring and playing cool shows, and it was a 3-piece, like kind of reggae. There was reggae elements,
yeah,
but it was a rock and roll. It was like the Police. So. That's where I get a lot of, that's the reggae rock and roll thing. It was already in me.
Sure.
To begin with. So.
Yeah, build right into you. In the DNA, it sounds like. So do you ever get over to Ireland to play the Elders music or any of your own music?
Yep. We've gone, I think, about 20 years now, the Elders. I myself have the privilege, I think it's maybe 13th or 14th year in a row, we tour Ireland. We bring roughly 100 to 150 people every year around the States and Canada. They pay to basically follow us on tour. And they're in the big coach buses.
Yeah.
It gets up to like 4 coach buses going through these small towns.
Got a whole entourage there, all right.
We show up and the gig is free to the public, open to the public. Plus we bring 100+ people.
Yeah.
And now it's a privilege for the band, the Elders, to have a packed house, in another country, especially Ireland, where the music that we all love came from. And then we have the room full of people singing our lyrics and dancing, and they all have their little lanyards, and they have a great time. It's incredible.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a whole family of people.
Yeah, you got
loads of people that have gone on 10 years plus every year.
These people following you around all these years?
Yeah.
On this tour? Or on
Beautiful
these tours?
friends from Colorado and Syracuse and Arizona, all over the States. And then Canadian friends. We have some friends from Wales that would fly to Ireland.
Yeah.
All over the place, would come to Ireland and meet us. And, my dad being from Ireland originally, old friends and old fans of his old bands, they would see the Elders coming down. They would come and visit him. So
that's
pretty
awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome.
So you've got these various bands and collaborations that you're in. You've got your solo work. So either or both for the in the studio and when you're out and about playing. What is the mindset you have to get yourself into for one versus the other, for playing on your own versus doing the band thing?
Yeah, playing on my own. Well, when I would see someone play up there, if you're at a restaurant and you see somebody playing in the corner, it's could potentially be the most nerve-wracking thing that person could be doing. It's hard to stand there and sing your own songs, let alone sing cover songs and entertain solo-wise, With the band, you have a sense of confidence, and I'm the drummer in one of the bands, and then I've got 5 other people that, all do things before me, so I can, nestle in and become a team player.
Kind of blend into the crowd a little bit there.
And, it's not terrible when the leadership changes and that's the band, but then when I'm by myself, it's, you can get in your head, but you're performing. So I love it. I love playing,
Yeah.
You'll have moments where, oh gosh, I'm pulling up to the gig and don't know what's going to happen. And, it's a Thursday night somewhere and it ends up being, magic. There's a bunch of people that are incredibly appreciative. And so it's great.
Yeah. It seems like being a solo act, is probably somewhat similar to maybe being like a stand-up comedian where it's all on you. There's no one else to take that heat or the love if it comes, which is great, but sometimes there's no love, and so you gotta be up there. It's brave. It's brave what you do.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
I really love it. I every day think what else I could be doing, and I'm like, I just want to do this,
Yeah.
So I just figure out, some days it's easier, some days it's harder, but it's, the people have passion. You can call it music. To me is definitely me, so
Yeah.
it's whatever you want to call it.
So let's talk about that a little bit, because I'm a big proponent. One thing we're always saying on this show is, in fact, we even jokingly talked about making it a T-shirt, but give musicians your money, and the philosophy being, if you want great art, you have to support it. So whether it be from fans or the industry or somewhere else, what is it that you foresee that musicians could really use as a support system, or just other things that you need to succeed in what you're doing?
Yeah, I think as a support system everywhere, like say a solo artist everywhere, you can get taken advantage of. $150 or $200 to play your own songs for 45 minutes in the corner sounds awesome. Quick money. Play your tunes, and it's practice and get better, and some clubs aren't pro musician, so it's really when you find great places, communities that do support the arts, that's incredible. So the musicians, like the musicians, a coalition of team, if you had the HR of music. My wife, she is the HR of music.
Yeah.
She manages our band, so, that, you need an element of that.
Yeah.
So,
for lack of a better term, what is is there even like a scene in Kansas City? What's it like down there as a musician?
Yeah, Kansas City's crazy, and it has been forever, music-wise. I have a lot of really incredible jazz friends, jazz musicians, and that is the base of Kansas City. Then again, I turn around, all my jazz players play with all my country friends, and there's a friend of mine just said that there's 10 new country bands in Kansas City right now. And that's pretty true.
Yeah.
There's lots of great psychedelic rock bands. There's lots of great solo artists, great friends of mine that, it's so fun to book a gig and I get a call. I'll call 10 of them because they're all busy, and whichever ones are available will play a gig.
Sure.
So, there's a lot of great musicians in Kansas City.
I imagine it's similar to what we see here, where, you know, on Friday night you might go see this band over here, and then Saturday night you go to a different venue, completely different band, and the opener is this other band, but one member from the band from last night is in that band. You know, like everyone's sharing, and yeah,
absolutely, yeah. I have a lot of those crossover friends that are in. You know, I find myself in that position sometimes too. So.
Yeah. All right, so you're here hanging out with us in Niles, Michigan. You know, you played a little music for us. So what are we looking at for the future? What's next up for you?
Yeah, we've got some Elders shows coming up. Playing a cool hometown Kansas City show. Some friends of ours from Ireland, the High Kings, and it's in the Kaufman Performing Arts Center. So, massive, beautiful acoustic, you know, majestic piece of art that we put. I think 900 or so people in there in our bands, and I don't hit the cymbals too hard, otherwise my dad will turn around and look at me. But we've got a bunch of great gigs, bunch of great shows. So I've got some solo stuff coming up. You know, I always want to release more music. Mm-hmm. I have a lot of demos that I do home studio type stuff and lo-fi recordings of things, and you know, it's not that big production. But also a lot of my stuff doesn't need big production. You know, the sound that I'm going for, I find it at home. So, you know, I'll be releasing music, you know, as much as I can.
Cool.
So,
do you have a preference between? Are you more of a let's drop a bunch of singles out across time? Do you craft an album? What's your preferred method if you have one?
Yeah, I mean, right now in my Dropbox, I've got 3 full albums.
Oh, wow.
The order necessarily isn't correct of the, you know, track listing, but
sure.
But I've got like a psych rock album. I've got a very broken down, like mandolin, guitar, vocals, folky album, you know, Jerry Garcia inspired type. And then I've got a whole other album of other stuff, you know. A friend of mine in California, Pete Grant, is a pedal steel player. I've sent him a bunch of tracks, so I mean, to get him, he's a legend. Played, you know, with Everly, played with the Flying Burrito Brothers, played with Jerry, played with Grateful Dead, played with everybody, and he's pedal steel, and it's just the sound, you know. So I've got a lot of different stuff.
Awesome. When you are putting these albums together, how do you know what goes together? How are you? Is it just okay? You have enough songs that have a similar sound, cram them together. You have an album, or do you go for a theme?
Possibly both. You know, my titles of the songs and the style all play a part, but I also, you know, I like to. If it's like a psych rock and roll album, and then drop it down to an acoustic song that I recorded 2 years ago that kind of maybe in my storyline in my head, it possibly fits, you know? So yeah, it's all over the place. And then I'm moving things over and, you know, okay, maybe this is 2 albums, so let's do that, you know?
Sure.
So you never know.
Yeah.
I also love the idea of singles, you know?
Yeah.
I love the idea of singles for the Elders because you can, that's, you know, the Beatles did it. Do what the Beatles did.
Sure. Yeah. never a bad rule.
Right.
And it is one of those things where it's like a cycle. I mean, the album became a thing. I love the album as a format, but that became a thing the way the industry went. But yeah, I mean, it's not a rule. You don't have to necessarily do it. So
yeah.
You kind of have to go where the music takes you, right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Do what you feel. Do what you think's right.
Yeah. Well, all right. Well, I look forward to hearing whichever of those albums you choose to release first. Or maybe you'll do, I don't know. I mean, again, there are no rules. You could release all 3 at the same time. Who knows? So,
I know.
Yeah. All right. Well, Kian Byrne, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for coming to Niles, Michigan.
Thank you.
And good luck with everything.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
You've been listening to Anywhere the Needle Drops from Red Chuck Productions. Keep up on new episodes of this show, our live events and various creations and other happenings over at redchuckproductions.com or by following us on social media at Red Chuck Productions. Special thanks to Hero Jr. for our theme music. You can check them out over at herojuniormusic.com. That is Hero, H-E-R-O, Junior, J-R, music.com. A big shout out to Paul Clemson and Theory One Productions for handling sound duties and so much more. Check out their magic over at theory1productions.com. And a big thank you to Earthworks Audio for outfitting the Red Chuck studio. See their microphones and their other products over at earthworksaudio.com. Be sure to support all of our guests by visiting their websites, social media, clicking that subscribe button, seeing them live, and checking out their merch stores. Give musicians and artists your money. We'll be back with the next episode. Until then, thank you for your time. Here's to life.